courageous.
We found her.
Only my favorite lady in the world!
Florence Nightingale, shedding light on modern nursing.
May 12, 1820, on the Lea Estate in Derbyshire, England, one of our greatest nursing leaders was born. Given the name Florence Nightingale, she grew up with a wealthy Victorian family.
Her father, William Shore Nightingale, who she called Papa, gave her a basic education in mathematics and language. Flo had no problem socializing with adults at her family's many parties. She was very bold and spoke for herself and her beliefs.
Around age 16, Florence claimed she received a calling from God. In this call, he said that she was destined to serve her people. These vague instructions influenced her to become a nurse.
Flo began her services by caring for the sick farmers and servants of the estate. Her parents were not happy with this and wanted her to be a lady and marry. Florence thought that marriage would distract her from her calling, and she rejected a marriage proposal from Richard Monckton Miles at age 17. Her parents showed great disapproval of her ambitions. They strongly believed she should act like a traditional Victorian lady and avoid what they believed to be menial work, which would include nursing.
Florence wouldn't let anything stand in her path to serve those in need. She rebelled against her parents in the Victorian way to become one of the most influential leaders in medical history.
In 1852, she enrolled into the Lutheran Hospital of Pastor Flinder in Kaiserwerth, Germany, to be trained for 4 months in nursing. After her training, she inspected hospitals in Edinburgh and Dublin. Flo immediately earned respect and admiration from her peers. She was named superintendent of the female nurses in the hospitals in the East, and was generally known as the Lady-in-Chief.
During Florence's growth as a nurse, the Crimean War broke out in 1863 between Britain and Russia. Disease, infection, and death struck Britain's forces with a death rate of 22.7%. Britain was lacking sufficient medical assistance. The hospitals were in poor condition with untrained nurses and staff.
William Russell, a reporter from the Times, wrote about the neglect of Britain's wounded soldiers. The people showed outrage towards the leaders who were forced into action. They sent Florence Nightingale and a team of 38 nurses to Crimea to care for the soldiers in the struggling hospital.
Florence Nightingale and her team arrived at the Scutari Hospital and were held back from working for many weeks. As soon as the next battle occurred and the wounded came rushing in, Nightingale and her team went straight to work. They managed to prove themselves and their capabilities, but were still not respected because of their gender.
In charge of nothing with the exception of your personal laundry.
Florence's bold character was further revealed when she argued with the leadership in the hospitals and wrote many letters requesting materials to improve the hospital's sanitation and efficiency.
The soldiers expressed more gratitude towards her when she began to make night rounds with her lamp and gave personal care to the soldiers, who she called her children. Florence was given the nickname Lady with the Lamp by the soldiers. This name stuck to her throughout her life, and people still know her by it today. The light symbolizes care for the sick, concern for ordinary soldiers, and freedom for women to choose their own work.
Florence and her team cut the death rate in the hospital by 2/3 by increasing standards of sanitation and nursing practice. She began to observe the soldiers and her surroundings so she could fully comprehend what techniques and methods of nursing would work best in their situation.
The things that she was mostly concerned about in the Notes on Nursing were things in the environment that affected healing and wellness. And so, for example, she believed in cleanliness. And at the time, of course, that was a big problem because people didn't really understand. And of course, this is related to the germ theory of disease, right? That she discarded, but she felt like that people, it's because people keep their environment clean that they don't get sick. Or when somebody is sick, if they keep the environment clean, they will be better able to get well. It seems so elementary to us, but it is so basic. She was concerned with sound. She felt like that sick people should never be exposed to loud sounds, and that you should never, like she says in her Notes on Nursing, don't whisper outside the room where there's a sick person. Because they will hear it and they will be distracted. And we do know that hearing is one of the last senses to be lost when you're sick, and many people in comas, when they wake up, they can tell us that they could still hear what was happening around them. And so sound is extremely important. Fresh air and sunshine. Most people who were cared for in her day were kept in a closed room that had all the windows closed. And she insisted that you should open the windows, let the light in order for people to get well. So all of those principles are still equally as important today, and we need constant reminding of them.
By decreasing the death rate, she got noticed by many and was highly appreciated and honored. People started to recognize her capabilities and gave more respect to the nurses and the profession. She became a war hero and was very well known for her work and dedication.
Florence still felt that she could do more for her children and their health. She formed a sanitation department in India when the Indian Mutiny broke out in 1857. She improved cleanliness of the country and the people became healthier.
Using all her experience from nursing school, the war, and other hospital work, she published many books, one of the most famous being Notes on Nursing.
And there's still things in there that are just now being discovered as having a scientific basis. Much of what she wrote about was based on her own observation. And I guess that is also one of the most important parts of her legacy. She believed that the key to doing anything well was to have a very keen sense of observation and to be really careful about what you observe. And she noticed different things, and just in terms of anecdotally trying different things out in caring for sick people, she had come to various conclusions that she wrote. Many of them are in the actual notes. The book is called Notes on Nursing, and it's like a text, but then at the bottom of a lot of the pages are notes. And some of the most important things are in these notes.
Florence Nightingale continued her work by opening a school called Nightingale School for Nurses. She opened this, ensuring proper training for nurses. She also opened St. Thomas's Hospital so better care would be provided for citizens.
Florence Nightingale improved more than just the nursing field. She also improved other areas of the medical field.
Primarily, the benefits to patients were her insistence on nutrition and on sanitation. But my favorite thing she did, just going back to my doctorate, is she's fairly well known as a statistician. So that's my favorite thing that she did. She was the first female ever to get in the Royal Statistical Society in England. And she invented something called the polar diagram. It's kind of pie chart that she invented. It's a visual display of data. And so I think what she's known for as a statistician is being able to take data and visually describe it, which was an asset to her in trying to get more resources.
After her retirement in 1869, Florence was bedridden from brucellosis, which is also known as the Crimean fever. She was still very productive in her work with her writings, but had to use a wheelchair to get around, which restricted her direct involvement with patients. On August 13, 1910, Florence passed away peacefully at age 90.
Her legacy lives on within writing and in our hearts. She has led the medical industry to form a healthier world. Monuments of her are all around the world, and she is remembered throughout nursing schools and in practice. She is especially honored on Nurses' Day, which falls around her birthday every May.
Everybody honors Florence Nightingale on that May 6th week, and we'll honor her here too. I think she's left us a legacy. And I think a lot of her work still continues, because she was a social reformer. She was worried about women and women's health. All that work internationally still needs to happen.